Yeah, there was definitely more scheme than there was in the preseason. There was a good amount of, I would say, explosive returns that happened in the league. There was a touchdown, obviously, in the Arizona game. That was really more the result of a few missed tackles rather than the scheme. But yeah, I thought there was definitely some excitement on the play.
The punt return.
Yeah.
When you watch that back, what happened on that play?
Geez, there's a lot of bad football in that play that, we were not obviously up to our standards, so got to have a better punt with location and hang time. The leverage needs to be better. The effort was poor, and it was addressed and pushing it up.
Adding Kadarius Toney, just how excited are you to maybe see how he fits on punt return? And I know he hasn't really done a lot of kick return in his career, but obviously with the new rules, is he a possible?
Yeah, he's definitely a playmaker, and we're gonna keep seeing what he can do. He's had some punt return experience in his career, and he's good with the ball in his hand. So we'll keep working with him, and he's obviously an option on the practice squad right now.
Well, it's obvious that every phase of the team had a bad day Sunday.
Yeah.
Including special teams. So do you think it's fair to say that not playing in preseason had something to do with the overall team performance?
No, I think overall our urgency as a team and our effort needs to be better overall. I just think that week one, there's a lot of unknowns going into week one. The continuity within the group. You really don't know your football team until after really the first month of the season. So I think we're still trying to figure out who we are and make the corrections from this past game, not only in the kicking game, but on offense and defense, and then just try to apply it to this upcoming week. And obviously a tough opponent in Jacksonville. At Jacksonville is a hard place to play.
What was it that you liked most about Darden that kind of made him the guy you wanted back there at third punt?
Yeah, we had some production on the punt return unit. I thought he did a good job of getting the ball downhill, made some yards, set up our offense in the first quarter with the explosive return to our sideline. So that was a positive in the game. I thought that he did a solid job overall.
That one kick, Bubba, it ended up on the 20 instead of the 30. You guys it landed in the landing area, then rolled out of bounds.
Yeah, the ball came off. And credit to Aubrey, he's a very talented kicker. We knew that we were going to have some of those types of balls to field. It looked like it started out going to the left, tail back to the right. So didn't get a great jump on the ball. And I think that, he felt that it was going to be too risky to try to field it. So.
Perfect kick?
I don't think it's the perfect kick. I think that, I think it was a very good kick. Yeah.
But you had then you have Dustin kick into the end zone quite a bit there. Were you happy just to take that rather than try to defend the return?
I've talked about this, a lot. I feel like every kick is relative to the situation in the game, who you're going against, your personnel, all that stuff. So
what would be a perfect kick? One that allows you to tackle a guy at the 10 or something?
No, I think that, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Like perfect kick meaning like hitting the landing zone and, yeah. So.
Losing Mahmoud and Tony to the IR, how big of a hit is that to your special teams unit, and how are you addressing that this week and moving forward?
Yeah, we have options on the roster. We have options on the practice squad. We obviously acquired Khalik from New Orleans, so we have options. It's unfortunate that those guys, were injured, but Mahmoud's injury happened, in the game. Obviously, he tried playing through it, but it is what it is. It's next man up, and we're trying to just keep improving on the minutes.
Oh, did you think they were going to try that 71-yarder at the end of the half?
I did. Yeah, I did. We had Denzel back there in the event that the ball would fall short, we'd be able to return it. And they obviously decided against it. It was, he hit a monster ball prior to that, and the wind was coming at us from that end. I mean, we, we're questioning whether we were going to actually attempt our field goal on that 50-plus yarder. So
It's interesting that you put Denzel back there, who does no returns at all. So what's the choice of Denzel?
well, to me he's on our field goal block unit, so you don't have to make a substitution there, and he's got elite speed, and he's ran with the ball in his history, so he's an explosive player.
What do you think the mindset, the response to that kind of beatdown has been as you've moved through the meetings and the practices this week? What are you seeing?
Yeah, I would say this, week one, I feel like a lot of times people can overreact. Now, I will say this, we did not play well as a football team at all. Like, that is not our standard. That's not the head coach's standard, Schwartz, anybody. No one's we hold our team to a high standard, and we know that we have to play a lot better in every phase. I think we need to compete harder, we need to play harder, and we need to play with better effort across the board, and a lot cleaner. We had a lot of penalties in the game as a team. You win as a team, you lose as a team, and that was definitely a team loss, and we have moved on, and we are ready to roll.
But like you said, you guys were considering if Dustin was going to kick that 51-yarder. So what did you see from him just coming out, not playing in preseason, and coming out and hitting that field goal?
Yeah, I thought he had a good week leading up to. He had a good pregame. We felt good about him in the game, and those guys operated well.
When the time ran out before they made that 66-yard kick, obviously McCarthy had 3 timeouts. He could have used them, but he thought they had to reset the clock. What's your understanding of what went on there?
At the end of the first half.
When they kicked the 66-yarder, but they called delay a game.
Right.
McCarthy was unaware the play clock was not reset or something.
I'm not sure what happened on that. Yeah. Yeah. Appreciate it.
Morning still. Morning. All right.
Ken, what was most surprising to you last week about what you guys did and didn't do?
Well, I think just overall, we didn't perform the way we wanted to, and whether it's surprising or just whatever that emotion is, obviously, we want to learn from that, correct it, and come back out ready to roll this week, and we're full speed ahead onto another really good defense in Jacksonville that's doing, personnel-wise, presents a lot of challenges, and then obviously scheme-wise, a new scheme from what we saw last year, and so that'll provide some challenges for us as well.
Ken, when Deshaun's getting hit 17 times in a game, 6 of those are sacks, it's easy to just blame the offensive line and the protection. When you went back and looked at it, how much of it was quarterback not seeing things down the field? How much of it was plays taking too long to develop, and then obviously the protection?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, this is the ultimate team sport, and I think to your point, there's a lot that goes into that, so, to say when you have a situation like that, it's all one thing or another thing. Like this is the ultimate team sport, and we got to look at it like that. Everybody's got to do their part. Everybody's got to be locked in, focused on what we're doing, own the game plan, and make sure that we're doing the right things, not only from a schematical standpoint, but a technique standpoint, and from a top to bottom, O-line, quarterbacks, backs, receivers, tight ends, everybody's involved in protection, all 11 guys out on the field. So, I think that's obviously the focus for us is, hey, let's make sure, one, we got to obviously know our opponent. 2, we got to make sure that we're on top of our techniques, our assignments, and all those things, and that'll help tie all that together, I think.
Is there anything that gets you more frustrated than a pre-snap penalty?
I mean, look, I think at the end of the day, any type of, as a coach, right, you're hunting perfection, right? You're hunting, you're chasing that, constantly, and I think that's something that we're going to continue to focus on, to make sure, we're doing the things to put us in the best position to be successful. And obviously when you have those things or any type of negative plays, in this league, defenses are pretty good, and putting yourself behind the 8 ball is going to be, something obviously we want to try to eliminate and try to make sure that that we're giving ourselves the best chance for success.
What makes you think that Sunday will be a better effort from your offense?
Well, I think, look, at the end of the day, we're going to go out and we're going to prepare our tails off this week. I think everybody, and everybody's focused on Jacksonville. Everybody's focused on this next step to move forward. We still have 16 games to go left in the season, and all we can do is control what we control. We got to be able to focus on the things that we got to focus on: our attitude, we got to focus on our effort, we got to focus on our preparation, and control our controllables and make sure that we're full bore ahead going into this week, and I think that's a big thing for us.
Can you assess Deshaun Watson's play? The narrative out there right now seems to be that he's broken and lost and horrible and all those kinds of things. Can you just really break down what you saw in the game and film?
Well, I think when you look at it, every week when you look at and evaluate, especially the quarterback position, you're always going to say, okay, can we do? Was this what we want? Was this something that, what did you see here? What were we thinking here? You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that go into it. I think just overall looking at his performance this past week, there was a lot of good things, and then there was obviously some things we can improve on and correct. So is that something that is we're going to continue to grow? And I think at the quarterback position and every position, you got to have a growth mindset in what you do and continue to grow, because whether you're year 1 or year 15 in the league, there's constantly things you can improve on, whether it's mentally, physically, anything like that. And I think Deshaun does a good job in taking that mindset, and applying it. So our goal is, to focus on Jacksonville this week. Our goal is to come out, prepare, and be ready to roll when we step out on the field.
You obviously play quarterback. The pocket presence, the internal clock. Deshaun's missed a lot of time. Is that something that can sort of regress with not a lot of game action over an extended period of time?
I don't know. I think when you've played as much football as he has, I think there's an instinctual aspect to it that he definitely has. I mean, when you watch the game, there's some really good just examples of kind of stepping up and some subtle slides in the pocket and stuff like that. So you see the things that you're talking about. But I think the more he continues to play out there as the season goes on, I think the more comfortable we'll all be. And it's he really showed that he can go out and play a full 4-quarter physical football game. And he's built for that. And obviously we want to continue to take the appropriate steps forward as an offense, whether it's Deshaun or us as a whole unit.
You're considering the tight end situation now. I mean, you have 4 receivers available to you. Are you likely to spread it out a little bit more?
I think, anytime you go in, you look at your personnel, and we're going to evaluate what we got. We do have, a room of guys that, with Jordan and some of the other guys that we've added that have played in this league and have made some plays and we feel comfortable with. So, we feel good about that room moving forward. And I mean, we've seen it here in the past, right? I mean, it's when you deal with the injuries and things like that, it's the next man up, and we got to be ready to step up and fill our role, whatever that may be. And That goes for tight ends. It goes for, to your point, receivers. Whatever those roles are that we imply on or implement, sorry, on Sunday, right? We've got to be ready to step up, own those roles, and maximize our opportunities on the field.
And when you assess the Jags defense, what stands out as kind of the things that you guys are highlighting the most?
Yeah, I think the big thing is obviously they do a great job of a combination of scheme and talent. You know, I think they do a good job of knowing what they got and putting their guys in position to make plays. They're physical both up front and in the secondary. You know, they got speed over the field. They've got, you know, pass rushers and linebackers that could go sideline to sideline, and then a physical group of corners with some very instinctual safeties that have range. So, you know, they pose a lot of challenges, and obviously, you know, schematically they do a lot of good things as well. So, it's a great challenge for us, and one that you know we want to make sure we're going out, we're locked in all week, we're focused in, and we're doing the preparation things that we need to make sure we're ready to go come game day on Sunday.
What gives you confidence that, what gives you confidence that Deshaun is going to be better this week? It's only 1 week later. Why do you think it's going to look better in Jacksonville?
I mean, I think Deshaun's you know, he's played in this league for a while. He's a pro when it comes down to, you know, being able to evaluate what happened the week before, and then you know, when game week rolls around and the next opponent's up, you know, not making one game into 2 games, you know, and obviously this defense poses a lot of challenges that we're going to have to overcome and play better. But I think that he's played in this league a long time, and he's had games like that, and as a team and as a unit in the past. So I think, you know, he's had to deal with this in his past, and you know, we don't have a crystal ball, but all we can control is today, and all we can control is, hey, our attitude, our preparation, our effort going into day or Thursday, making sure we're doing everything humanly possible to come in and be ready to go on Sunday.
Ken, how much of the struggles offensively do you attribute to new scheme, right, new playbook, and is it fair to expect a big jump from that in week 2?
I mean, at the end, when you look at it, I think, you know, we're not going to sit here and make kind of excuses. You know, we're going to own what happened on Sunday. We're going to learn from what happened on Sunday, and you know, hopefully guys use it as a motivating factor to get ready to go this week. You know, and look, I wish I could tell you, you know, hey, here's what we're going to do this coming week. You know, but our expectations as not only coaches but players. I mean, you know, I think this organization, this group has a lot of pride. You know, we're going to do, you know, what in terms of the preparation for the week, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we're preparing ourselves not only for Jacksonville and what they pose, but for ourselves and for what we do, you know, from a schematic and from a technique standpoint, you know, to make sure that we're ready to attack on Sunday.
Ken, all new stuff and no plays at all together during the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think that had some kind of effect on the choppiness of that first game?
I mean, look, I think this game, again, it's one of those things where, you know, you just there's no excuses that you can make. You go out and you put a game plan together. You make sure your guys feel comfortable with it, and you know, you go ahead and attack the day. You know, and I think at the end of the day, when you perform like that, there's you know, it's easy to sit here and, you know, just say it's this or that when you just got to sit here and collectively look at it and learn from it and be ready to move forward, you know. So there's no excuses to be made at the end of the day. I think it's stuff that we got to evaluate to make sure we're putting our guys in the right position. And then we got to evaluate to make sure our guys are using the techniques and doing those things as well. So when you sit there and you evaluate the game and you watch the tape, there's definitely things we can improve on and take steps forward as an offense.
Ken, I know you mentioned effort earlier, and I know Bubba mentioned that as kind of a theme of his press conference when we talked to him through all phases. So I guess, were you guys surprised that in week one that wasn't what you thought you would see, and what gives you confidence that that effort element might be better in week two?
You know, I think from an offensive standpoint, I'm not going to speak to obviously special teams, but I didn't feel I didn't feel like there was a lack of effort on offense. I think, you know, obviously that's what this game's about. It's about passion. It's about physicality. It's about going out and flying around and playing for each other. You know, like when you step out on the field, you got 11 guys out there, and you got to depend on that guy next to you, you know, and we're building that because every year is a new year. Every season's a new season, you know, and then when you have injuries, you got to have guys ready to step up and fill those roles, and making sure, like, hey, those other 10 guys on the field can depend on them. And they gotta go out and earn that play after play, you know, whether it's practice or game. So I got a lot of faith in our guys that they're going to go out and fly around. I think there was a lot of great effort in this past game, and you know, from that aspect, we're going to continue. You know, that's something we're going to take a lot of pride in. You know, whether it's this game moving forward the entire year, we're going to go out, we're going to fly around, and you know, we're going to have no regrets after we step off that field.
And the penalties make it impossible to play a tempo offense.
I mean, obviously, I think penalties make it hard to play any type of offense at the end of the day. So I think we want to make sure we are going out and doing all the things that we need to do from a technique standpoint to just being locked in mental standpoint, whether it's, you know, we're trying to use tempo, we're huddling, it's third down, it's red zone, it's short yardage, right? Whatever the situation is, you know, all those things we got to make sure we're locked in, and you know, because penalties can be mental, they can be physical. There's a lot of different, you know, aspects into those things. So we just got to make sure that we're playing in the right frame of mind with the right techniques.
Back to tight end, David obviously does so much stuff. You
Yes.
feel like Jordan can just step in and do all those same things?
Look, I think, you know, Dave's obviously a special player who does a lot, but I do think that we got a room that, you know, Jordan can step in and do a lot of great things for us as well. You know, no one player is built the same, but, you know, I think that, you know, we've got a group of guys in that room and collectively as an offense that are going to be able to step up, and that's what football is, you know, and you look at it. I thought last year was a great example of it organizationally. When things happen, guys have to be ready to step up, and it's the next guy up ready to roll. And there's no excuses at the end of the day.
And what can you say just about Deshaun from like a mental standpoint? Because, I mean, he, you know, just obviously he's been through a lot the last couple of years since he's been here, but also just over the last week, the death of his father, the friend, you know, the game on Sunday, now this new lawsuit. Just what have you kind of seen from him this week in terms of him just trying to focus on football, even though that might not be, I can imagine that'd be hard with everything that's kind of gone against him.
Yeah, obviously it's hard for me to speak to his mental state. You know, that would be something that would be tough for me to speak on. But just from a coaching standpoint and him in the meeting rooms, you know, he's been locked in meetings. He's been, you know, taking his notes and asking questions and doing everything he can to prepare to be ready to go on Sunday.
Kid in Jacksonville, they held Miami's rushing offense to only around 80 yards last week. Just what stood out to you about the run defense?
I mean, they're a physical front. They're fundamentally and schematically sound, and they fly around, you know. And so there's a lot of things that go into it. Like I said, you know, kind of early on, it's like this is the ultimate team game, and when a defense is able to do something like that the past week, there's multiple factors that go into it, you know. And it's all 11 guys on their side, you know, operating at a pretty high level against a team like that. Good. All right. Thank you, everybody.